Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
I love LA. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, we love LA. Yes, we are a hoop show mainly, or watching Chaez make his picks or whatever. But we are also LA fans, and you got to give it up to the LA Dodgers. Another shutout. What is it? Their fourth of these playoffs. They take a 2-1 series lead. Before we get into anything, Chaez, let's go Dodgers. Let's go Dodgers. Let's go Dodgers.
Yo, man, look, let me just say this. Thank you guys for tapping in. Shout out to the audience. Shout out to everybody that watches this show, taps in with Outlet Forum. But the Dodgers, I know this is a basketball show. We're supposed to strictly talk basketball. We will get to some of that, but I just have to say, with this LA shirt that I got on, shout out to my boy Aldell. Shout out to Can't Beat LA. Actually, let me go ahead and send you the link right now, my man. The Dodgers are doing their absolute thing right now. And the last game had me a little shook. I'm not even going to lie, man. It had me shook, but they pulled it out. They pulled it through, pause, and Ohtani tapped it off with a little, that the damn home run went over the foul.
Yeah.
It went over the foul pole, and then Muncy followed up with his bat drop. So, I mean,
excellent start to the series for Mad Max, by the way. That is the Max Muncy of the postseason I'm talking about, man. We hadn't really seen that the last couple of years, but he's looked really good to start this series. And you know what, Chaez, I know he only went 4 innings tonight. It wasn't his most efficient outing. 4 shutout innings for Walker Buehler. You want to talk about grit. You want to talk about toughness. You want to talk about resilience. That kid personifies all those things. So shout out to Buehler. Shout out to Muncy. Kike Hernandez, another playoff home run, the 15th of his career. They played small ball early. They chased Severino out of this game, and they got to the Mets bullpen, and they restored some order. They took back home field advantage, and they feel a little bit better with Yamamoto going out there in Game 4, who's coming off of a brilliant Game 5 winner-take-all start last week against the San Diego Padres. So it's looking good so far. But hey, Chaez, two more wins. Let's knock this out, huh?
Let's knock it out. 2 more wins. Let's just make sure that Yamamoto, if he does his thing, if the bats continue to wake up, if Kopech and Trinan and Phillips all continue to do their thing down the stretch, that's it. I don't want to hear nothing else. They go on to the World Series. And I'm just going to say this now. The 2 teams that are up 2-1 right now are probably going to face each other. And that'll be the Yankees and the Dodgers. And we've been saying that since the beginning of the season. So, yeah, man, I can't wait. Shout out to the Dodgers. Shout out to Dave Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all been shitting on his name for a long time, especially you, Chris.
What?
I'm not going to let you get away with this.
Hold on. Foul on the flag on the play. What have I said about Dave Roberts?
Look.
Thank you. Next question, please.
You said that Dave Roberts deserves to possibly be fired. Like, you wouldn't be mad if he got fired. That was last year, the year before, you know.
I think at some point, if you're getting eliminated 3 straight years, by the way, just a little history lesson. The Yankees fired Joe Torre after 3 straight first-round eliminations, too. And Joe Torre won 4 rings with the Yankees. Just throwing that out there. Terry Francona won 2 World Series with the Red Sox, who hadn't won anything in 86 years. He got fired after a couple of low seasons. Firings happen. At some point, the voice becomes stale. And let me remind you, during the 2011 season for the Lakers, people were ready for Phil Jackson to step down. Phil, the Zen Master, 11 championships, 5 in LA. People were ready to say, yeah, it's time for a change. So change is not the worst thing in the world. However, what I will say about Dave Roberts, and I said this last year's postseason loss was not on him. And I think some of the decisions this year wouldn't have necessarily fallen on him either. And the fact is, he is following suit with what the organization wants. So either the organization has to change or the philosophy has to change. That's what I've said about Dave Roberts. But that being said, he's doing a fine job. 6 more wins, brother. 6 more wins.
I won't be too hard on you. That's a bit of a cop out. I'll get at you offline in our personal text. But In other news, we got the fire. Look, I know we're 5 minutes into the show. We have to talk some baseball, but I'll get right into the basketball because not only you got the NBA preseason heating up, you got Hall of Fame inductees, you got DiVincenzo going at Rick Brunson, Jalen Brunson's dad, and Tom Thibodeau in a preseason game. All that we'll get into. But the first things first tonight, Sabrina Ionescu. She had a shot that was absolutely ridiculous. The step back, that like I can't. I got no words. I just got to show you. So she comes in, grabs it. 30 seconds left.
So Minnesota tied it, right?
Minnesota ties it. Mm-hmm. Minnesota ties it, of course. But like she actually, and I apologize because I wasn't far enough in the damn video. But essentially they tie it, and then she hits this shot.
Yeah, clearly not. We're a little behind on it. It was a great game though tonight in Minnesota. Game 3 of the WNBA Finals, and Ionescu had a moment that would have made the late great Kobe Bryant smile. And you know, Sabrina was a Kobe disciple, so somewhere he's smiling because that was, you talk about clutch game-winning 3 on the road in the finals. Not many NBA greats have had those kind of moments, Chaez, let alone WNBA greats, man. That was impressive.
I mean, look at this. Look how deep that was, bro.
Yeah.
And that's to go up. That's to go up 2-1.
On the road. Yeah.
On the road. And she called game. So, look, I should have put money. I've been saying this all along. I should have put money on the Liberty because I knew they were going to win the championship. Now they still,
but these are not. Hold on, these have not been a blowout series, brother. This has been a close series.
No, of course not. Of course, it's not a blowout series. But at the end of the day, like I just knew that the Liberty would take care of business mostly in most of these games. Now I know they lost one. I know that
they gave that away. They were down. They were up 18. They lost, they lost it in regulation. I think, who was it? Stewart missed a free throw that would have put them ahead. And then she missed another layup in overtime. They gave that game away. But, they showed some true championship grit these last few games. They protected home court in game 2. And then they stole home court and now can kind of feel like they've got some control thanks to Ionescu. But it was also Breanna Stewart, 30 points tonight. She came to play. I was going back and forth between that game and the Dodgers-Mets game, game 3. And it was, New York may not get a better opportunity than this to win a championship. So they've got to cash in. And I'm not taking anything away from the Minnesota Lynx. They've had a fine year. Cheryl Reeve is WNBA Coach of the Year. Nafisa Collier has had a great season. They've got a great assortment of role players. And Minnesota's a really solid sports town, especially when their teams are good. And they challenged the Liberty tonight. They gave them all they could handle. And it took a game-winning 3 by one of the great guards in the game in Sabrina Ionescu to put them down. So, shout out to Sabrina. That was impressive right there.
Shout out to Sabrina. But I mean, to be honest with you, I think the more impressive stat, like that was a great shot, but Stewie having 30 points, rebounding, assisting, like she's doing it all. That is the WNBA Finals MVP if and when the Liberty decide to pull out this series and not even make it close moving forward.
11 boards and 4 blocks tonight. 11 boards and 4 blocks.
What do you make of, I mean, obviously they have the better team, but what do you make of Collier? Like, I mean, she's doing everything that she can, like.
Yeah, no, she's doing it. I mean, first of all, like I said, she's an MVP finalist. I know Asia Wilson won it this year, but Collier, the type of year she's had, and I've been watching her for the last few years. Don't forget, I covered the WNBA for a number of years, with the Sparks and everything. And I saw her up close and personal. And I was like, even then, this was like 4 years ago, I'm like, damn, this girl is very talented and she's just a baller. She's a hooper. She's very physical. She's got a competitive drive to her, and she has put Minnesota basketball back on the map, kind of almost picking up the baton left behind by Sylvia Fowles and Maya Moore and, Simone Augustus and a lot of the other great players, Lindsay Whalen, that they had for years. Remember, they had their kind of like their own dynasty in the mid 2010s. And now she has kind of helped, along with like Kayla McBride and some of the other good players that they have there. She has helped put Minnesota Lynx basketball back on the map. So shout out to Collier. She's really good.
Yeah. And they'll be even better next year. So watch out for the Lynx. The Lynx were actually really good, but the Liberty have just had the most amazing season that you could possibly have in a while. And Breanna Stewart is the engine that makes that team go. So
100%.
Do you think that they pull it off in the next game, or is it going to go?
I think, to be honest, I don't think Minnesota wants to go out on their own home court. So I would say this series is headed back to New York for a winner take all game 5 on Sunday. I just think it would be a fitting end for that series. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be, all of these games have been close. We've already seen an overtime game. Liberty pulled away in game 2. Tonight came down in the final seconds. So I'm hoping to see, Minnesota rebound and force a game 5. I think that would be awesome. Nothing like a game 7 in an NBA Finals, Chaez. We've seen that with the Lakers and Celtics going back to 2010, man. That is awesome to watch.
It would be awesome, but at the end of the day, business is business. And if you got Ionescu calling game like this, I'm going to have to go ahead and just put my money down on game 4 that they'll close it out on the road. That's just probably the smart money at this point. But we'll see how it all shakes out. We'll see if the Lynx are really going to force that game 5. But let's move on to the NBA.
Yes, sir.
We got to talk to some preseason, Chris, because we're starting to get a few injuries, and Paul George is on that list. Kawhi Leonard hasn't practiced all preseason. PG, he extended his knee, and it was a pretty bad one. I mean, he has a bone bruise, and they say he's going to be okay. It actually looked a lot worse than what it ended up being, but Luka Doncic hasn't practiced in almost 2 weeks, and he practiced for the first time today. So he's actually seems like he could be on pace. Luckily, nobody from the Lakers is injured, knock on wood. Going into training camp and going into their final 2 games of the preseason. LeBron James has no idea why the Lakers are traveling all over the place and going to Milwaukee for a game and going here, going there. I got a little bit of insight on that, though, Chris. The Lakers are finishing phase 3 of their makeover of Staples Center, formerly known as, or Crypto, formerly known as Staples Center. Yeah. And, they did that stuff under in the tunnel. They got the new seats. They got the new suites. Now they got a whole like inside outside type shit, like on the south side of the arena, where you can go on the outside, come back in, get your beer, sit down, watch the game. For all the people up in the 300 level section, which I frequent sometimes, I do like the 200 and then the 100 level, but for big games, I do sit my ass up there in the 300 level because Laker tickets are not cheap. So, and I don't have a credential like that as much as y'all may think I do. But
actually, you know what? When I was covering Clipper games, guess where I was sitting? 300 section. That's where a lot of the press row is, man.
Yeah, that's and which is the worst. I don't know why they have press row so high up. It's like that long hockey line up there. But anyways, that's the reason why the Lakers are traveling all over the place. But getting back to these injuries, to ask the question, Chris, who's injured between PG hyperextending his knee and Luka, having the injury that I think it was a hamstring that he was dealing with. But he's back. Or Kawhi Leonard. I didn't put that in there.
Oh gosh, man.
Which one is going to have the biggest impact on their team to start the season? I give you the floor. I
think I almost forgot about the Kawhi situation. Yeah, he is not going to appear in the preseason. I don't even think he's practicing right now with the Clippers. So yeah, he's got the biggest impact. I would say his injury is going to cause the biggest impact for the Clippers, because the Clippers don't have Paul George anymore, right? They don't have that other superstar that they can lean on. I know James Harden is there, and James is still a very productive player. And I think, to be honest, if you guys are playing fantasy hoops like me, that's a guy to watch out for this year. I know me and my brother, we were talking about that recently. I think James is going to have a fine season with the Clippers. There's no distraction, no trade demand. He's right where he needs to be. But yeah, the Clippers, considering how competitive the Western Conference is, they're going to need Kawhi. And they're going to need Kawhi for 65 games at least in order just to be in the play-in mix. Because like I said, Chaez, there's a lot of good teams out there in the West, teams that have gotten better, even teams that haven't improved tremendously, that have kind of just stayed the same. They ain't going anywhere. So you got to count count on them to win around 45 to 52 games, you know? So yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest impacts because once again, with Kawhi Leonard, we just don't know. We don't know what the situation is with his knee. They've lost Russell Westbrook. They're going to have a competitive team, but if you don't have that other star player there, that's going to be difficult to lean on some of these other guys on most nights to go out there and kind of fill that void. And especially if you're going to be playing the top tier teams in the West. I think Philadelphia can survive without Paul George because you have Embiid and Maxey. And I think Dallas has got a really good rotation. Obviously they've got Kyrie Irving. They've got Klay Thompson in there. So, Luka, you can't replace Luka Doncic, but I think they could kind of keep their heads above water. They have enough talent. Clippers, I'm not so sure. And, Kawhi, man, I'm telling you, that dude is just headed into some may need to consider retirement type territory. That is how bad injury prone he is. And it doesn't really even seem to matter. He rests, he gets hurt. He plays, he gets hurt.
Chris.
I'm just saying, it's like, I got to imagine even Clipper fans are fed up at this point because he has had underwhelming team success with the Clippers. And the last 3 years have been marred by injuries, particularly in the playoffs. Whereas with Paul George, okay, he's hurt, hyperextended knee, no structural damage. He's had some nagging injuries throughout his career, but with Kawhi, it is chronic. And I don't think it gets better as you get older at this point. Not to mention, Philadelphia is not saying, hey, Paul, lead our team. They've got Embiid to do that. You've got Maxey right there. They've shown they could win without Paul George. Where they need Paul George is to get them over the top against the Milwaukees, the Bostons, the New Yorks in a 7-game series. That's what they need.
Right. Warm it up, Chris. I'm about to shake it. Hey, that was a good take, man. But I'm gonna have to disagree with you for a different reason. I'm not gonna say you wrong, but I'm gonna go with Luka. And the reason why is because they have a big addition in Klay. And the Dallas Mavericks are going to be better possibly than the Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Clippers. So I think that Luka practicing, and if he misses games or if he doesn't miss games, or either way, it's going to affect the team a lot more also because he needs to get in a better rhythm and a groove with Klay Thompson. So that way that team can gel and do what they need to do moving forward. So I'm going to go with Luka. If he's not out there, the Mavericks are not the Mavericks. Kawhi Leonard is never out there. So the Clippers can survive. Clippers don't even have championship aspirations, honestly, in true form right now, honestly. And to be honest with you, in a different realm, there's only about 3 teams that can actually win the championship this year, in my opinion. Those teams are Boston, New York, and Denver.
Wow, you don't even have Oklahoma City on there, huh?
Hell no.
Wow.
Hell no.
Okay.
There is no way. They're not even going to get to the finals.
Yeah. Hey, Chaez, in a bit, I want to get into a little Q&A because we got a question from one of my old coworkers, Maria Couch, who I've known for a long time, and that I want to get to. But no, let's continue going. I just want to allot for some time for some questions before we get into the latter parts of the shows. But continue. Yeah, that's a good point, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. But I just think that ultimately for the team, that the Clippers don't have real championship aspirations. The Sixers do, but PG is more so a luxury than a necessity for them. We've already pointed that out. And for the Mavericks, it's the opposite. Luka is a necessity and a luxury at the same time, but for them, he's a necessity given the way that their team is built and who they have coming up. So
a lot more usage on Luka. I'll definitely give you that. However, I also think Dallas I think now they're in a better place where they know what Luka and Kyrie can do together, and they know Kyrie is capable of being explosive for stretches at a time. And the thing is, you do have Klay there. I'm interested to see what Klay can do, especially if you're going to need him as a number 2 for at some point. But what frustrates me about all these injuries, man? We're still like literally 7 days or 6 days now before the regular season, and we're already seeing injuries, man. Like we see this in the NFL too. And all these guys, they come into training camp, like hope in their eyes, first day of school. I've never felt better. My body's great. And then all of a sudden, like Cooper Kupp for the Rams. Oh yeah, I sprained my ankle. I'm going to be out for, 6 weeks. Like, bro, seriously?
Bruh.
Seriously. No, that's just the frustrating thing. And Kawhi Leonard didn't play for Team USA. The Clippers got bounced in the first round. Like, what is going on with these knees at this point? What is going on with these knees? Like, I know when Kawhi's still healthy, he's great. But God, man, this guy cannot stay healthy to save his life. Seriously, he is stealing Steve Ballmer's money.
Look, man, it's just the fact. That's what happens when you put all of your eggs in that basket. That's what the Clippers, that's how desperate they had to be. The Clippers remind me of the Jets. When you're that desperate to win, you will do and take on certain stuff that you have no business dealing with. And I get Kawhi is good, but they've had him for 5 years, and they have no reason to continue to
going on
triple down on another 5 years of Kawhi. That was the dumbest thing. So,
and letting PG walk, you lost your security blanket. Yeah, because PG was. Oh, good.
Yeah. And letting PG walk for that as well. So, I mean, to answer Jazz's question in the chat, like, yes, the Sixers are going to be very, very good. I do think they'll make the playoffs. They're going to be very dangerous this year, but I just think that Luka for the Mavericks is just going to be that player that just pushes them over the top. He needs to be healthy. He needs to be consistent. He needs to play as much as he can because he has a new big addition in Klay Thompson that he needs to be acclimated with. So that way Klay gets the best version of himself come June or May or April when the games really, really, really count. So
for sure. Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's get to the comments.
Yeah. Well, no, I wanted to get to Maria's question. She said, just stumbled across your show, Chris. Is Cedric sounds very interesting. Cedric, I believe, is her husband. I've known the Couch family for a long time. Went to school with their kids and everything. Great family. And I worked with Maria for a long time at one of my old jobs. How bad or good will the Lakers be this year? Maria, I've said this. I think the Lakers are going to be a good team. I don't know if they'll be a great team or a championship team. I could see them winning anywhere from 45 to about 48 games this year. I think that's for right now. That's a reasonable expectation. I know a lot of people like what they've been hearing from the players about JJ Redick, and that's what they're banking on. They're banking on JJ getting the best out of this team because they're essentially running it back. So they're counting on Rui Hachimura having a bounce back year. They're counting on Austin Reeves having a bounce back year. They're counting on LeBron and Anthony Davis playing in 70+ games. They're banking on Jared Vanderbilt being healthier, Gabe Vincent being healthier, Max Christie with the more pronounced role, Dalton Connect having a prominent role as a rookie. He's looked really good in preseason. So the thing is, the West, it's not so much about the Lakers' talent as much as how many other talented teams that there are in the Western Conference. And an injury here, an injury there can make all the difference in the world. And I just don't know on any given night how explosive this Laker team will be. And we'll see when the season starts what exactly their needs are going to be that they're eventually going to need to address at the trade deadline. Chaz, what are your thoughts on that?
Lakers are going to be fine. Lakers are going to be better than they were last year. Guess what? I think the Lakers, for the first time and since 2020, aren't even going to have to worry about the play-in or anything like that, because how they play in March and April at the end of every season, I think a little bit of that fervor is going to be incorporated into this team in the beginning of the season, because it's imperative that JJ Redick and LeBron James get off to a good start, so that way they don't look like fools with their pants on the ground because of what happened behind the scenes with Darvin Ham and JJ Redick and the podcast and Lakers drafting Bronny. Like, all that is fine. I'm good with all that, but I know that the optics matter. Perception does matter. Yep. I know my lighting is messing up, but perception matters at the end of the day. So it's imperative that the Lakers get off to a good start to disprove some of, these narratives around the team. I know everybody will say, oh, we don't give a damn about a narrative or this or that. No, you don't want negative narratives like that around your team, especially when you're striving to push for a championship. Some of that stuff will take some wind out of your sail as you're trying to move forward. So
yeah, I think Darvin Darvin's time here will be one slight step above what happened with Mike Brown, where you get the sense with Ham, he was a little bit in over his head. That's the thing. And I think the problem with the Lakers organization was they did not monitor him a little bit closely. And I think they were blinded by the success of how they finished the 23 season, going to the conference finals. I think that was a little bit more, how do I say this? It was more of a fugazi, whatever. It wasn't real as much. And I think that aspect got exposed this past year because the team did not get better by essentially running it back. So yeah, Ham could blame injuries, but he did not provide structure. The teams didn't necessarily buy in. And, you know, it got exposed. I mean, they were still in a position to beat the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, Jamal Murray hit 2-game winners in that series. They played better against the Nuggets this year or this past season than they did in 23. But you never got the sense that this team was ever going to go much further than maybe the second round. And we'll see what happens this season with JJ Redick and how well the team responds and who actually takes a step forward and whatnot. So it's going to be a very interesting season. And you, once again, straight out of the gate, who do they got Tuesday night, Chaz? The Minnesota Timberwolves, the number 3 seed last year, a team that, even though they made a trade, they're still going to be damn good. And they got one of the most explosive players in the game in Anthony Edwards. That's a good test coming out of the gate.
Great test coming out of the gate. I would love to see Anthony Edwards play. Anthony Edwards, Zion, Wemby, Shea. Those are the guys that I'm looking to see this upcoming season. I'm going to definitely
bring your ass.
Bring your ass. So getting into some spicier news, like the fact that this is the preseason. I know we're 3 days late because, you know, we do our show in the middle of the week, and sometimes a lot of spicy shit happens over the weekend. But Dante DiVincenzo, formerly of the New York Knicks and the Villanova Knicks, is now in a Minnesota Timberwolves jersey with Julius Randle. And just so happened, we're in New York playing the Knicks, and he had quite a few choice words as he shot a free throw against Rick Brunson. Check it out.
Hold on, is this queued up? This is queued up
if YouTube will do its thing.
So last night, the Knicks beat the Timberwolves by 5 points in a preseason game. Of course, this is the first time that these two teams have played each other since the infamous Karl Anthony Towns trade. With that in mind, this game got pretty heated, especially with Dante DiVincenzo. He was part of that package that was sent to Minnesota. In the first quarter, while at the free throw line, he exchanged words with the Knicks coaching staff, Rick Brunson and Tom Thibodeau to be exact. Dante was talking crazy, and I was able to capture the whole conversation by itself. Also, after the game was over, they got into it and had to be separated. Definitely some tension building up from that trade, and something definitely had to have happened behind the scenes. I was also able to capture some of the things that...
All right. Apologies for not listening to that terrible video before. But
all right, so let's summarize it for them, Chaz.
You get the gist. So DiVincenzo's at the line. He has something to say to Thibodeau. Rick Brunson jumps in, doesn't like what he says, calls him some names or whatever. They're going back and forth. And at the end of the game, you know, everybody hugs up, daps up, this and that. And at the end of the game, DiVincenzo is dapping up like normal. And Rick Brunson walks by and says, "Hey, that's some sucker shit." And they go back and forth. And he's like, and DiVincenzo's like, "Man, I wasn't even talking to you. I was talking to Tibbs, but you had something to say," which I'm good with.
Yeah,
I'm good with being spicy. And what he originally said was, "I can't finish," right, Tibbs? And I get it. That's the reason why he got moved, because they've been telling him for however long you can't finish. But DiVincenzo was the reason why the Knicks even went as far as they did. So yeah. I understand why he was heated. You get personal. I mean, I'll be pissed as hell too if I go from New York to Minnesota, and I don't even really have a chance to win like that, because honestly, as great as Ant is, getting rid of Cat does not help your chances to win a championship. Let me just say that right there. So, Chris, what did you make of it? Was DiVincenzo fair? Was he foul? I thought he was fair.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are times when players get traded, there's going to be some saltiness there. And I think, the fact it's funny that these two teams ended up playing each other in the Garden in the preseason. And,
wow.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's a good storyline. And, maybe DiVincenzo felt some kind of way that, I had a great season. I left it all out there on the court. The only reason why we were even in a position to be successful amidst all these injuries was because of me. And of course with Jalen and Anunoby and some of these other guys, but everyone kind of broke down one by one if you watched a lot of these series. So yeah, of course he felt some kind of way about that. And Rick Brunson stepping up for his coach, stepping up for his son, his son's team, whatever. Rick is obviously an assistant coach. So yeah, of course he's going to, consult DiVincenzo, whether that was thrown at Rick Brunson, Jalen's dad, or at Tibbs. It's like, hey, it doesn't matter who you throw it out at. That's, an assault on one is assault against all, Chaz. That's how it goes. You don't need to attack an individual for someone else to say, hey, knock it off,
Hey,
you go ahead.
Go ahead. I just wanted to shout out my man Marcus Walton. How about them Dodgers? Appreciate you tapping in, bro. Yes. How about them Dodgers? Game 4. Keep going.
For sure. I got a few shout outs as well. People tapping in on the Instagram, but let me finish this point first. So, I mean, look, it makes for a great storyline. I think Dante is an outstanding player. I think he's left a mark everywhere he's gone, from Milwaukee to the Golden State Warriors, even his brief time with the Sacramento Kings, last year with the Knicks. This is a guy I've been clamoring for the Lakers to get for the last few years. I mean, this guy's I think a 2-time NCAA champion with Villanova. I think he won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks back in 21. He is a damn good player. And he's a guy that is almost kind of like, I don't want to say Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford, but he's one of those super 6-men type, but can also start and be productive. And he could actually help you win a game during the regular season as well as the postseason. And he showed that this past year. So yeah, he's a little salty. He thought he was going to have a more prominent role with this team. And then you kind of just toss him away. And I understand they needed a center. I'm sure Leon Rose and Worldwide West, the people running the Knicks, did not want to trade DiVincenzo. But if you're going to get an all-star center who could average 24, 25 points a game, is one of the great three-point shooting bigs we have in the game, and give you 10-plus rebounds a night in Karl-Anthony Towns, you owe it to yourself to get him. But clearly there was some unfinished business that we didn't even really know about between DiVincenzo and Tom Thibodeau that got put out on full display the other night.
Yeah, bro. It's like you got fired from work, and then you get a new job, and then you see your old boss, at your new job, and
we've all had moments like that.
You want to say something,
Sure. And even if you don't say it aggressively, you'll sometimes, like I know for me, I'll make a smart ass comment. That's just me. I'm just a local wise ass. That is me. Real quick, Chaz, before we move on, I wanted to, shout out to a few of my peeps over here on the IG chat. Boricua Paco. Hey, sorry about your Cleveland Guardians, man. You guys got a big road ahead of you. Hopefully the series shifts. Hog Wild, what's up, Craig? Enjoy your cruise this weekend. Shout out to my girl Carla, of course. Who else? Oh, Vincey, my guy, my cousin, him and his twin brother. Happy birthday to you guys, man. The big
happy B-Day.
The big 1-5. Libra Girl 116. Happy B-Day, Diana. Hope all is well. Who else? McKinn Lucen. That's my peeps, Bobby and Michelle. Hope all is well with the baby guys. Yeah, no, a lot of good people on here. Some people I don't recognize. Brianna M. Jones, what's up? And Draja, what's up, bro? Go Kings, go! And Fred Soto, drummer dude, Esty. Yeah, looking good, man. Thanks for tapping in, guys. Really appreciate it. And drop any comments or questions you got in the chat. We're gonna get to them. Chaz, back to you, man. Who do you want to shout out?
Nobody right now. I just want to get to the Hall of Fame real quick because we're running out of time a little bit, but we talked about a lot of stuff, but like everybody that we've talked about is trying to do what these people at the bottom have done. And that's Michael Cooper, Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups, Jerry West who's gone in for a third time. God rest his soul. Simone Augustus. I mean, it was a great weekend of great speeches. One of my boys, Eric, was out there actually. Had no idea how he was able to pull up awesome. to the actual ceremony and all of the events this weekend. I actually got to reach out to him if you're tapped in. bro, let me know how you were able to get in there. That was a very, very, very exclusive ticket. So, yeah, man, what did you make of let me just say this. My favorite part was Michael Cooper getting in and him thanking Jerry West the way that he did. God rest his soul. Like, the guy that picked him is also getting honored that in the same class for the third time. That was a very special moment. Obviously, Vince Carter's speech. I love seeing Chauncey Billups get honored. He's had a very rough couple of years in Portland, so it was good to see him have a very solid public night out like that, being honored. Chris, what did you make of it? And what stood out to you from these festivities?
Yeah, it was an interesting class, and I think everyone who kind of left an impact. I mean, these were not big time superstars, meaning Cooper and even Chauncey Billups. Vince Carter was a star. I mean, Chaez, you and I, we started watching basketball right around the same time, and we started watching at a time where Jordan was sort of exiting, right? But Kobe started to emerge. Allen Iverson, Shaq, Duncan, Garnett, Tracy McGrady, and then, of course, Vince Carter. I mean, Air Canada, Vince Sanity. This guy put Toronto basketball, an expansion team. He got there in 98. They launched as a team in 95. He put Raptors basketball on the map. And I was so happy to see that they retired his jersey. I know the New Jersey Nets are planning a jersey ceremony as well. That's where he kind of spent the second leg of his career, and he had some great years there. Vince Carter, did not win a lot in his career. He just didn't. I think the furthest he ever went was just the semifinals. I don't even think he ever reached the conference finals. And if he did, it was only once, and it was in the latter stages of his career. But he certainly never won a championship, but he reinvented his game. So he became a better three-point shooter late in his career. But people will never forget the 2001 series, Raptors versus Sixers in the second round, 2001, Eastern Conference semis. And then people definitely won't forget, Chaez, the 2000 dunk contest up in Oakland. He put on a show. And that's what I think also helped usher in a new chapter of NBA basketball. And Michael Cooper is a Laker great. Any true Laker fan, obviously we got to go back to the 80s. Showtime, he was a big part of that. People remember Kareem. They remember Magic, of course. They remember James Worthy, but Cooper brought substance to the team. He was a good three-point shooter, a pit bull defensively, took on all the defensive challenges. It took years for him to get in, but he finally got in. And you know what? Great guy. Also a two-time WNBA champion as head coach of the LA Sparks. So he did a lot in his career, and well-respected LA figure. And of course, Chauncey Billups. Who do you think you are, Mr. Big Shot, Finals MVP in 2004, had a lot of great years. And Jerry West, man, one of the greatest executives, not just in the NBA history, Chaez, in the history of professional team sports. Everywhere he went, he helped build a winner, including recently with the Clippers. So I thought it was a very good class, and just shout out to everyone. And, this is always one of my favorite events every year.
Every year, man. Every year, man. Seeing Michael Cooper get choked up like that just had me, man. It was his speech. That was that for the weekend. But man, every year we do this. Every year it's another legend going in, and I always think to myself, I'm like, damn, there's always somebody that gets in that should have been in to me. Like Michael Cooper should have been in a long time ago. Like the fact that we're just now hanging his jersey and he's getting, inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like, look, Robert Horry is not a player who should go into the Hall of Fame, I don't think, but that's a player whose jersey should probably be retired as well. I know we only retire Hall of Famers, but I mean, actually, Robert Horry got some of the most rings of all time. Yeah, and actually contributes most of them. So forgive me, Robert, you should be in the Hall of Fame. My bad for saying that. And it should be up in the rafters. But every year it's always somebody where I'm like, damn, they're not in.
The problem with Horry, here's the problem with the Hall of Fame, is they're looking at everything. It's all encompassing. It's not just what you did in the playoffs. It's what you did in the regular season. Horry never made an All-NBA team. Horry never made an All-Star team. Horry, I don't think, ever averaged 20 points a game in his career. And if he did, he only did it once. So it's hard to justify that. Like, even a guy like Eli Manning, Chaez, not to switch up to football, but I think this is important. Eli Manning did not hold a candlestick to what his brother accomplished. However, Eli performed on the bigger stage better than his brother, particularly against the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. So a lot of people will say, is Eli a Hall of Famer in the NFL? he did just enough in the regular season to get there. Pro Bowler, a couple of division championships,
Right.
but it's what he did it.
Cough that shit up. Exactly. Thank you. You can't even get it out all the way.
No, it's
fuck.
No, I'm just saying though. That is, I guess, the only measurement you could have with Robert Horry. I agree. He's had some amazing moments, 7 rings, 3 different organizations. And those organizations can say, we don't have those rings without his contributions on both ends of the court. But I just think at times, like, for example, can I ask you something? Kike Hernandez. Is Kike Hernandez, even though he's an excellent postseason performer, is he a Hall of Famer to you?
No, but he's tied Justin Turner and Corey Seager for the Dodgers' most postseason home runs at 13. So
right. No, but you understand what I'm saying. It's all encompassing. I hear you, and I know Rudy Tomjanovich spoke out for Horry, saying when he got inducted in the Hall of Fame a few years ago, saying Horry should get in. I'm not saying I wouldn't be mad if Horry did get in. I'm just saying though, like, what are we doing here? If Robert Horry gets in, who else gets in?
I got you.
Yeah,
no, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
But Michael Cooper definitely deserved to get in. 8-time all-defensive team and a 5-time NBA champion.
Let's go to picture of the week, Chris, and close it out. Because I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm not gonna fight it. Let's just close it out on a positive note. You got it. Picks of the week coming right up. Look, I got a great one for you guys this week.
Get picks
I
and guys trying.
I know that like the Jets, have had a terrible, rough couple weeks. But I just really think I like the fact that they're on the road against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has to come down at some point. I love the fact that they're actually going to put in Russell Wilson probably this week.
Oh.
I have no idea why they're doing that, because Justin Fields has not played bad at all. But hey, if the Jets are going to get plus money and the line and everybody's putting money on the Jets to where it's going from +1 or +2 all the way to -+1.5, go ahead and take the Jets outright. I like them outright in this game and to cover. That is my pick of the week. I also like Minnesota money line. I also like Houston +3 as well. So
wait, hold on. Minnesota money line. So you're taking the Lions?
No, I'm taking Minnesota money line at home against the Lions.
So they're not going to cover. Got it.
No, I mean, the Minnesota probably will cover. It really just depends on what Aaron Jones decides to do, if he's really banged up or not, if he's hurt, because after he went out of that game in London, the Minnesota, I'm gonna say Timberwolves, the Vikings, almost folded like a cheap 10. If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers not being able to convert on that last drive, the Minnesota Vikings wouldn't be undefeated right now. So let's just keep everything in perspective. But I do like the Jets. I like the Vikings. Should I even throw in an extra one for y'all? Seahawks +3 as well. So I'm on the Seahawks. I'm on the Texans. I'm on the Jets. I'm on the Vikings. I went like 9-2 last week. So
last week,
let's have a solid week, y'all.
Last week, I want to tell you something about last week. Only one underdog came up. The favorites won and the favorites covered last week. That was bizarre, And you know what? I got to give a shout out to my brother Joe. He went 13-1 in our pick'em this past week, bro. You had a good week at 9-2. My brother went 13-1 in our season-long pick'em. So yeah,
he should have parlayed that shit.
Well, here's the thing. My brother Joe, when he picks, you really don't know what you're going to get. I mean, his team name is Steam and Beeman, but most weeks there's no steam in those picks. But I got to tell you, he was like Ronco, set it and forget it. So he makes his picks and he doesn't watch the games, and then he'll just look back later and see what he did. Good or bad. He doesn't
watch the games. He makes picks.
Nope.
Does this involve any kind of actual dollars, or is he just making picks to make picks?
Well, dude, we're in a season-long pick'em. It's $100 buy-in.
Okay,
right. and it's good for all 18 weeks plus playoffs. So yeah, no, he did really good. The only thing I'll say this week, I actually like the Lions to come up with an upset win. I just think the Vikings are due. They've been playing with fire in recent weeks. You just mentioned the Jets game that they couldn't close out. So I think the Lions, I wouldn't be shocked if they go into Minnesota and actually come up with an impressive
missing
win.
one key thing, Chris.
What is that? Coming off the bye week?
Detroit's secondary is only as good as Aiden Hutchinson allows them to be. So
yeah. We'll see. Do you like the Rams at 6.5? That seems a little steep.
Fuck no. I don't like the Rams.
Yeah.
I don't like the Rams to cover anything this year, even against the lowly Raiders. So,
oh man. Hey, KC at Frisco. That's the only game I'll say.
Take them on the money line. I like San Fran to cover and the money line, especially if it's -1.
I was gonna say
the Chiefs are the one. The Chiefs are the one that are due for one. So, especially on the road.
Yeah, and we'll see about the Jets. I know Adams is going to be suited up, and that'll cause an issue with the Steelers defense. That's going to spread them out a little bit more. But you know what? That O-line stinks, and the Steelers, I'm sure Tomlin's going to put together a great defensive scheme to get after Aaron Rodgers. So, but I expect that to be a nip-tuck game. That game will probably end up coming down to Greg the Leg or Chris Boswell.
That O-line stinks.
They do. They suck, man.
Can you say for the people what you said earlier? Just before we went live, and I was just dying laughing at what you.
Oh yeah, I had a quote Major League. I know some of y'all are Major League fans out there. The movie, and if you haven't checked it out, check it out. But there's a scene where it's opening day, and this pitcher is not doing a good job, so he's just like, and you could close the book on Kellner. Thank God.
It's the
thank God.
Like we couldn't hear you say thank God. Get him out of here.
It's a great scene in a great movie. That's probably one of my all-time favorite sports movies ever, man. And I got a lot of them, as you know. So yeah, I could go all day,
I could go on forever, baby. But look, we don't get paid by the hour. We got to get off. So appreciate you guys for tapping in. Appreciate everybody that's in the comments, everybody that supports us on Outlet Forum. You guys know where to follow us on Instagram at Chaez Pearson, on Twitter at CCabella1. Chris, where can they follow you, my man?
Could always follow. Well, you just said it. At CCamelo1 on Instagram, which people are. We still haven't gotten our Twitter feed up and going yet. We're still tweaking that right now. So at Chris_Camelo, if you're on Twitter, check me out there. Facebook, at Chris Camelo, just type that in. You should find me on Facebook. And also, Chaz, real quick, I did a few birthday shout outs. This was a big day in my family, a lot of birthdays. Just wanted to give another shout out to my late mother, Irma Camelo. Would have been 71 today. Today would have been her birthday. So I just want to say happy birthday, Mom. Thinking about you always. You're always remain a big part of our lives. So anyone who reached out to me today and saw my post on IG or on Facebook, I just want to say I really appreciate it. And Chaz, I just want to thank you in person. Thank you for reaching out to me. I got your text this morning, and it really meant a lot to me. And of course, to my girl Carla, she also sent me a text this morning, and it just meant a lot. I know we've all lost somebody in our lives. It could be a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, friend. There's a lot of people. I'm sure we have all wish we would have, we all wish that they were here with us. And my mom is definitely one of those people. And, Chaz, even like, I always say this, there's something that comes up every day that makes me think about her. She would have loved this Dodger win tonight. She would have been going nuts, and she would have been going nuts on the Ohtani home run. I could hear her right now in my head. So, that I just wanted to point that out. So I appreciate you allowing me to do that.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to your family.
Thank you.
Those of you guys that know that me and Chris are not only, partners and business partners, but we are brothers at the end of the day. So appreciate you guys for tapping in, and we will see you guys next week and every week thereafter, because we will not be missing any weeks, any shows. The preseason is almost done. The regular season for the Lakers comes up on Tuesday. We get real basketball on Tuesday. By the time we talking next week, somebody going to be 0-1, 1-0, 0-1, 1-0. So let's see who it is. I think it's going to be the Timberwolves. And who's the first game? Is it Milwaukee, Boston?
Yeah. No. Isn't it Milwaukee? No. Isn't it Sixers? Aren't Sixers playing here? Let me check.
Oh fuck.
Gosh, Chaz, you make me do everything around here. I gotta look up the things. I gotta look up the schedule.
Who I know it's Timberwolves
It's
Lakers.
Knicks. Oh, it's Knicks Celtics, your favorite. There you go.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Knicks Celtics. That's going to be the first game.
I
Ring
got
ceremony for Boston. Ring ceremony
guess-
for Boston.
I got Celtics on ring.
And then it's the LA Lakers versus the Minnesota Bring Ya Asses.
I might as well put that money down on Boston right now because
Yeah.
they are not losing ring night.
And by the way, Chaz has got a new segment. Get picks or die trying. So that's going to be his new thing. So for all you gamblers out there who haven't made it to Gamblers Anonymous yet, this is where you want to go if you're tapping in with us. Get some of your picks. Basically a combination of sports talk and compulsive gambling, right, Chaz?
I am a degenerate. I have no reason to live. God, strike me down. Shout out to Doggy on First Take. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tapping in.